I just finished the most incredible interview. You guys are going to love it. If you love President Trump and feel like he was wronged by New York and Letitia James, you've got to watch this interview. She is going down. The evidence being built against her is bulletproof. And I was able to get an exclusive interview with the guy investigating and whistleblowing on the Attorney General of New York. It's an incredible interview. I would just ask, please share this video with family and friends. Give it a like and also enjoy. All right, I have a special guest today. Many in the audience want to see justice with Letitia James. They believe that she broke the law, that she's committed fraud, that she is a total hypocrite. To help me go through all this, I have Sam Antar. Sam, thank you so much for joining me.
And Stephen, thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So I got to say, I think you're going to end up being a hero to my community. I know that's not what you're after, but you have shown so much light on the fraud and the hypocrisy of Attorney General Letitia James. I just love that this is happening. I want to start off with this question just to clarify very quickly. Did Donald J. Trump hire you to get political revenge on Letitia James?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. I am a blogger. I am interested in New York City corruption and politics. I have blogged about other political figures in New York and other financial irregularities. And Letitia James came to me. I didn't come to her. In other words, I fell into it. And when I started looking at it, I saw really bad red flags. So that's when I started to concentrate on it, as any forensic accountant or investigator would do.
Okay. Now, your background is you're not MAGA. You're not a giant Donald Trump fan. You're not going to his political rallies. You are a Democrat, but you believe in justice and holding people accountable. So was it the trials that made you start looking into this, or what specifically jumped out at you that you thought, oh, wait a minute, we've got the Attorney General for New York committing fraud?
I did not pay much attention to the trials. I mean, I knew that they existed. In fact, maybe once or twice I might have been critical of Trump during the trial. But at the end of the day, that had nothing to do with my motivations or why I was pursuing it. She was just another name on the list. I'd written about people like New York City Controller Brad Lander, Jumaane Williams, New York City public advocate. I'd written about Kathy Hochul's private jet rides, which the New York Post picked up on. And Letitia James was just another name on the list. I wish she was more special, but she wasn't to me at the time.
Okay, so to you, she's just another name. So I followed the trial. I did research presented about Letitia James. At no time did I assume, wait a minute, this lady who's going after a former president of the United States, making accusations, she's committing some of the same fraud that she was pointing the finger at Trump about, as far as changing the value of properties to get better interest rates, lying about the size of her multifamily unit apartments that she makes money on, buying her criminal niece's a home in Virginia, but lying, saying that it was her. Help my audience just understand, what are all the different areas of fraud that you've investigated and compiled for the FBI? Well,
let me address the retribution issue first that's being thrown out there. Notice nobody's attacked any of the substance of the work that I've done. Nobody's rebutted it. All they can say is it's not much of a big deal. It's retribution from Trump. So let me address this retribution issue head on. Letitia James started falsifying mortgages in 1982, and that particular tidbit was uncovered by Joel Gilbert, credit where credit is due, from Gateway Pundit. Now, in the 1982 situation, she purchases a Queens home with her father as father-daughter, but the mortgage shows husband and wife. Now, in 1982, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump was a Democrat. I don't even think he was a Republican at the time. So she committed crimes okay, or falsified documents way, way, way back. You're talking about 43 years, a serial liar, a serial fraudster, of a trail of falsified mortgage documents. Now, what was the other question that I could follow up on?
So about the apartment complex where she lied about the number of units in order to get better financing.
Okay. She has a home in Brooklyn, 296 Lafayette Avenue. She purchased it in 2001 for approximately $500,000. Nothing irregular there. But from a first mortgage in 2001 to 9 mortgages later, in other words, 9 refinances later in 2021, so it's a total of 10 mortgages. Each of those mortgages lists 4, 3, 2, or 1 units. Not just 4, sometimes 2 to 3, sometimes 1 to 2. Now, under New York law, the number of units is defined by the certificate of occupancy. Now, about 2 weeks before she closed on the home, probably when she was in contract, the Department of Buildings inspected the property and certified the certificate of occupancy for 5 units. So under the law, it's a 5-unit building. It's not a 4 or less unit building. The reason that that's important is because 5 or more units is considered a commercial property for underlying standards, which means she has to put up a higher down payment and higher interest rates than a residential property of 4 or less units. So what she did here was on 10 consecutive mortgages, she listed it as 4, sometimes 1 or 2, sometimes 3, etc. But she never listed the truthful number of 5. And in New York, the governing document is the certificate of occupancy.
Okay. So, I mean, you're saying a total of 10 mortgages. She's lying in a different way on each one, depending on what she needs this to be in order to close on the loan?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is about 99% correct. And I don't know. I don't know if she listed 1 or 2 because it's better than 3 or 4. But whatever it is, she got better terms. She financially benefited from each of these transactions.
Okay.
Now, one more caveat. In New York, you can't take a 5-unit C of O building and say, "Well, I'm using 3 units for myself, so it's only 4 units or 3 units." You can't do that. The certificate of occupancy is the ruling document because there are public safety laws relating to the certificate of occupancy. Separate kitchen, separate plumbing, all kinds of stuff revolves around the certificate of occupancy. Now, Joe Gilbert and I, that's the guy that caught the mother, father, husband, wife, we actually visited her property and we found 5 doorbells for 5 apartments. I checked the Con Edison records. There are 6 electrical units, 1 for a common area and 1 for each apartment. But irrespective of all of that, the certificate of occupancy says it's 5 apartments, and that is exactly what it is. And that's what should have been listed on her mortgages, which she did not do.
Okay. This might be an elementary question, so forgive me, but if a document says one thing and you feel, wait a minute, I don't want it to say that because I can get better rates, I'm just going to lie, isn't that believing oneself is above the law?
Yes, and here's the other problem that you have. When you were talking about FBI investigations earlier, this is something that should have been flagged by the title companies, should have been flagged by the loan officers, should have been flagged by the appraisers. So it's my belief that there is collusion involved in every single one of those transactions. Now, my whole investigation, and Gilbert separately, has been based exclusively on publicly available documents. We don't steal anything. We don't get anything we don't use any of that. Any information that I get from sources that's not publicly available, I pass it along. I don't want to, I don't want to get involved in that kind of nonsense. And every single document is there, proves that she lied on every. It's apparent. You just look at it. That's why nobody has been able to rebut anything that I've written about, and I challenge them to do so.
Yeah, so I've boughten's probably not a word. I've bought several homes in my 43 years of being on planet Earth. Every time I have to go through documents with a fine-tooth comb. The title company's looking over it, the real estate agent, the people I'm getting a loan from, the bank, the credit union, all of that. They would have all had to either be idiots or turn a blind eye to this. And your belief is that they were colluding or conspiring to defraud because maybe they wanted to get that commission, or, hey, this is a lady high up, she's a lawyer, I don't want any issues, let's just get this loan done.
Well, one person reminded me, because I get a lot of emails and I get a lot of feedback. Most of it, is neither here nor there. But there's that 1% that gives you actionable information. And one person reminded me of something called the Big Fours. Back in the before the financial crisis, it was a common thing for brokers, mortgage brokers, loan offices, title companies, etc., to collude to make those Big Four properties, the brownstones in Brooklyn, which actually had 5 units, make it into 4 or less unit properties. So it was a widespread fraud at the time, and that also contributed to the financial crisis, because they were giving loans based upon lax underwriting standards, where the underwriting standards would have been much higher had these people properly classified their properties.
Okay. Interesting. So there could be other people that get pulled into this. I mean, and another thing that is like a major difference in my mind between the Trump situation and the Letitia James is Trump was a giant organization with many accountants, like a division of accounting, where these documents are personally signed by Letitia James, right? She's signing not only
fingerprints, her signature is on every single document. And no amount of crying political retaliation, no amount of crying that Trump's after her will remove a single signature from any of those falsified mortgages that she filed. Zero. Her name is there, her signature is there. There are notaries. In one case, which we haven't discussed yet, her signature is witnessed by 2 key people in her own office.
Wow. Okay. So going back to 1982, she signed, I'm married to my dad in order to get this piece of property. She signed it, right? Down in Virginia, right? Like,
that's why I love my friend Joel Gilbert. People say, well, Joel's my friend. That's why I love him. He digs up some of this salacious stuff.
Yeah. So she knew for a fact she was lying, is my point. Same thing down in Virginia. She knew, I'm buying this for my 2 nieces that are criminals and are struggling to get a house. I'm a successful, high-paid New York state employee, one of the highest offices in the land. Nobody's going to check this. I know for a fact I'm not going to move to Virginia and make this my primary residence, but no one's going to look. She signs her name next to that. Like, you have to know 100% that you're lying on these types of documents if you sign them.
Yes, that is correct. I mean, it's very easy to show intent.
I'm excited to share with you guys an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness. C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years. And get this, studies have confirmed that it has 3 times better, broader, and safer application than omega-3 fatty acids. Now, Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Venn Watson discovered C15 while working with the U.S. Navy to continually improve the health and welfare of aging dolphins, of all things, right? Now, C15 works in multiple ways. It repairs age-related damage to cells, protects from future breakdown, boosts mitochondrial energy output. You're going to have more energy, healthier cells. It activates pathways in the body that help regulate sleep, mood, and naturally repair mechanisms that support overall health. This functionality leads to a myriad of exciting benefits now and as we get older, namely improved metabolic, liver, and heart health, smoother functioning joints, deeper sleep, healthier hair, skin, and nails. You guys, this is so important. As you age, almost every doctor has told me to start taking fish oil pills in order to get the omega-3 in me, right? But now, Fatty 15, through the Navy and medicine, they discovered something that is 3 times more powerful. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Gardner and use code Gardner to get that discount. It's awesome. You guys are going to absolutely love it.
And I've done a series of blog articles like a prosecutor's guide, because I take nothing for granted, even the FBI or DOJ, to make the case as easy as possible for them to prosecute. But let's go to that property that you were just referencing. That was 604 Sterling Street, a property in Norfolk, West Virginia. She purchased it with her niece, Shamise Thompson. They paid approximately, they paid $240,000 for the property, had a $219,780,000 mortgage. Originally, she told the mortgage broker, I am not going to occupy this property. This is Shamise's, Shamise will occupy it. In other words, one co-borrower, one co-owner will occupy the other one. She even filed the mortgage application the next day and checked the box, August 3rd. Now you get to August 17th, and the bank realizes, hey, we can't underwrite the loan under these standards because, first of all, it's 91.6% leverage, okay? And we require both parties, if you want this loan, Letitia, you have to say you're going to occupy the property too. So what does she do? She signs a power of attorney witnessed by Jennifer Levy, one of her chief litigators in her office that also won after Trump. And by the way, this happened about 40 days before the Trump trial. She signs this power of attorney saying, I intend to make, I'm paraphrasing here, the Virginia property my principal residence. Case shut. Now, even if a subsequent document comes out that they've been hiding, say, that says that, again, she reiterated to the bank. In other words, they try to sanitize the file, so to speak. It doesn't matter because ultimately that mortgage was filed on the basis of her and her co-borrower both occupying the property within 60 days as their primary residence. So here you have out and out deliberate fraud also. Her fingerprints are all over it. You can look at the Fannie Mae standards, which I link to. I'm very meticulous in my blog. I link to all of the source documents so people can see for themselves. And that's the fraud that she committed in Virginia. Now, she didn't actually move to Virginia because had she moved to Virginia, she would have been ineligible to serve as the Attorney General. And she's already admitted that she never intended to move to Virginia. But she's claiming that this document was a mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake. The only way you can get the mortgage on those favorable terms with such leverage, meaning lower interest rates and lower down payment, was if you and Shamise Thompson would occupy the property as their primary residence. Case closed. Now, Joel Gilbert, my friend, came out with an article today about, Shamise's kids. And, it's unfortunate for anybody to have children like this, whatever. But she tried to make it, what Gilbert's argument was not so much about the kids. She tried to make it like she's helping out her aunt, like with young children. These are adults over here. So they're what he's doing is he's trying to show the bullshit that her and a lawyer are spewing out to defend her.
Okay. So do you think that the FBI, I think this is out of the New York office, it's not Kash Patel.
It's out of the Northern District of New York, the Albany office. I wish it was out of the Southern District because it would only be a few subway stops away. Yeah. It's out of the Northern District of New York, the FBI. Also, you have a grand jury investigating in Virginia, which means that there's an FBI investigation in Virginia by default. So you have two simultaneous FBI investigations going on in the case.
Okay, I didn't know about the grand jury in Virginia. That's really good. Okay, so my question though is, you hand this information off to them. Are they going to actually investigate this? Because your understanding of this, my understanding, like she signed, like it's there that she committed a fraud. Is she going to lose her position as Attorney General, or is Kathy Hochul going to step in and bail her out? Can she even do that? Are we going to see her perp walked and go to jail? Your thoughts on that?
This is multifaceted questions. Let's take it one step at a time. Okay. After my fraud as a criminal at Crazy Eddie's, okay, because I had an accounting degree, because they recognized my skills, I started doing work with the feds. I didn't work for them directly, consulting, in other words, I wasn't a government employee, and I started assisting them. And one of the things that I've learned about government is it's a vast bureaucracy. Not every person in the bureaucracy is in line with the intentions of the office that runs that bureaucracy. And I think you've seen it from your situations too. Now, that being said, I've learned that the best way to get the FBI to act, and I've done this as a whistleblower, I've worked for law firms to do whistleblower cases, and I've also submitted my own whistleblower case, which I've made over 7 figures from. The best way to make sure that a case is taken care of is don't take the FBI or DOJ lawyers for granted. There are good lawyers, there are shitty lawyers in the DOJ. There are smart FBI agents, and then you got dumb FBI agents. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is in every organization. You got great people, and sometimes you got lazy people. So what I do is I feed it. That's why if you see in my blogs, I lay it all out so that a 5-year-old carrying a gun, a toy gun, can understand it. Now, when you're talking to the FBI or law enforcement, it's a one-way street. They take, you give. So I have no idea about what they are doing, nor should I have an idea about what they are doing. So I have no personal knowledge of what the FBI is doing or whatever. But I can tell you from my experience, having worked with them with prior cases, they are interviewing every single mortgage broker, every single bank. They subpoenaed everything from the banks. They probably there probably may be even an IRS subpoena involved here. They are taking a multifaceted approach to this investigation. And I hope that they're taking it seriously. I think that they are. All indications show that they are, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But that's why I don't take it for granted. Now, the next facet of your question, unless you want to follow through with this.
No, just one thing that is encouraging to me is there's this New York opportunity. There's also this Virginia opportunity. And then the next part of my question was about her position as AG. Is Kathy Hochul going to do something or even legally able to do something?
Well, politics is a very, very rough game. And there's a lot of betrayal in politics. And there's a lot of backstabbing. This part I can't say from public documents. I want to make that clear. Okay. So nobody thinks that, you can point to a public document. As a registered Democrat, I have a lot of friends in the Democratic Party. A lot of them don't really like what's going on, And what I've heard is that she's looking for somebody to eventually replace her. She's shopping. behind the scenes. In the meantime, the public persona is, it's Trump retaliation. I got her $10 million for a legal defense. It's kind of like this setup. This is the setup that I think will happen. One day, Kathy Hochul is going to give her a call and say, Tish, I've done the best for you. I criticized Trump. I got you $10 million for your legal defense, even though we shouldn't be paying for it because this is a personal matter, not a public matter. But I can't do anymore. It's really time for you to step down. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay.
Now I could be wrong. I'm just giving you my guess and my logic behind it.
Yeah, no, and let me share mine with you because I saw this with Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams. Is they defend you until they can't anymore, and then they turn on you. And I think that's what we'll see. Is like,
and
like
don't
you
forget,
said,
there are a lot of Democrats that would want to run for that office.
Yes,
and maybe even primary her if she stays on.
Yes,
now, it's not just the Republicans that want that office. There are plenty of Democrats too.
Okay, so this is not your first rodeo, which also gives me a little bit warm feelings that you have put together the best you can. Now it's out of your hands. Is there anyone else that is in the big national ether that you're going after, or is this your focus? Or as a blogger, you just move on to the next corrupt person?
Well, I don't want to move on to the next, and I'll tell you why. If I have to remain laser focused on this to make sure it gets done properly. I'm not in it for the clicks. My Google revenue, I think, is about $30, $40 a month. Yeah. I'm not in it for the clicks. I'm not in it for the money. I've made my money doing whistleblower cases and doing bounty cases. This is not a bounty case. This is me, Sammy Antar, 68 years old, was retired for a while after my son's passing, okay? Getting back into it and, having fun because I like to solve puzzles. I did this because I can. I did it because it was fun, but it was fun with a good purpose. And that's why I'm doing it. I don't want anything from Trump. I don't want anything from anybody, period. Okay? At the end of the day, when this is done, I'm going to go back like I was on Twitter before this, take pictures of sunsets and flowers and pet the geese and do that sort of stuff. At my stage of life, I want to enjoy my remaining years.
Yeah, good. Well, what can I or my audience do? Is there anything we can do to support, or at this point you're just continuing to keep the FBI focused on getting this across the finish line?
The only support that I need, and excuse me, we're in New York, so you're going to get the background noise in Manhattan. The only support that I need is for your listeners to spread the word, to hold not only Letitia James' feet to the fire, but the federal apparatus's feet to the fire. Take nothing for granted. I've been through this. This is not my first rodeo. I've done plenty of whistleblower cases before. I've gone after people with Republican affiliations and Democratic affiliations. Okay, I've gone after corporations. I've made money as a whistleblower. I know what the process is. I've also assisted the FBI, and I also was an adversary to the FBI as a criminal. I know the game. And I need to follow this through. Otherwise, I'm afraid of this not being, I'm afraid of her not being brought to justice. That is my focus and that is my goal. I mean, I might look at a couple of other things here and there, but I don't want to lose focus on this case because every day I find something new. It's like peeling the onion. You can look at something 100 times, and the 101st time you find something new. The 102nd time you find something even newer. That's the way. It's a process.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, Joel Gilbert all of a sudden is like, oh, wait a minute. Is this lady married to her dad? Like, that was a big fine. Even though it's probably outside the statute of limitations, it shows a pattern.
And they can use that pattern, as I've written in my blog, they can use that pattern to show. In other words, they might not be able to prosecute that specific crime, but they can use that pattern to show that this is not a one-off thing. Now, there's one more thing that I would love to bring up if you have time.
Yes, go ahead.
Joe Gilbert found that she signed her name to a HAMP mortgage modification, which was relief available to people who could not pay a mortgage. And she listed 4 units instead of 5 in order to qualify. Credit where credit is due. What I did was I dug more deeply and I looked at the document itself and I saw scribbled handwritten notes, almost done like the day of the closing. 4 units. Oh, it could be 4 units or it could be 6 units, that sort of stuff. That also shows intent. In other words, it wasn't just a standardized document. There were handwritten notes trying to sanitize the file.
Wow.
So what I'm basically doing is I'll do my own original research. I cooperate with Joel, and Joel cooperates with me as it should be, whatever. And I will build on his work sometimes or do my own research, or he'll build on my work sometimes and he'll do his own research. And together we try to get to the truth.
Okay. Well,
I think we have the truth, but that's
I think you have the truth. Will the FBI see it the way that you see it? I
will make sure of that. That's where that's where my experience comes in from both sides of the law.
Well,
that's why I'm not taking anything for granted.
I'm glad you're running it.
I will hold their feet to the fire.
Well, hopefully my audience, please like this video, share. Let's get the word out. You want to see Letitia James held accountable. This is one of the ways to do it. Sam, if people want to follow you online, I want to send them to White Collar Fraud as well as your Twitter account. Is there anywhere else?
WhiteCollarFraud.com or Twitter account is Sam Antar, or on Truth Social, which I hardly use. No offense to Trump. Sam E. Antar, SAME Antar on Truth Social, which I hardly use.
Okay. Well, I will put those direct links. Thank you so much for all you do. We'll have you on in the future. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You can have me on anytime you want and ask me any question about this subject that you'd like.
Okay, thank you so much.
We could have spent 2 hours on this and covered in minute detail if you want.
Maybe in the future. Thank you so much.
God bless you, and thank you for having me on.